Hello, friends, and welcome to Pour and Explore wine, food, and travel stories from around the world. I'm Nick Elliott, the Wine Guy. This is where we sip, savor, and wander through the world of wine, explore incredible food, and uncover the stories behind unforgettable destinations. Each week, you'll hear engaging conversations with wine pros, chefs, travelers, and fellow enthusiasts, plus educational episodes to help you sip smarter and explore deeper. So, grab a glass, pull up a chair, and let's pour, explore, and celebrate the good life. Let's dive in. I want you to picture today's guest standing in Amman, Jordan. She's in the old city in front of the Hercules Temple, which, full disclosure, is mostly just two columns at this point. But Sahana isn't seeing two columns. She's seeing Dwayne Johnson, of all people, in full armor, lion-headed and legendary, striding out from between those two pillars like the movie in her head is playing at full volume. Her husband is standing right next to her. He's been standing next to her for approximately an hour. He would like to go get falafel. I understand, he says, but I'm done with this place. Can we go? And at that moment, that perfect, very married moment tells you almost everything you need to know about what great travel actually looks like. It's not the postcard, it's not the Instagram caption. It's two people standing in front of the same ancient ruins, having two completely different experiences, and both of them entirely valid. One of them just happens to have much more vivid imagination than the other. Sahana Kulur is paying attention to the world in a way most of us aren't trained to. She's an architect and an assistant professor of architectural history based in Bangalore, India. She's also the founder of VacayWork, a travel blog built specifically for people who love to explore the world without quitting the jobs they love. She and her husband have covered dozens of countries together, walking, and I mean walking, 20 kilometers a day walking through Tokyo, Jordan, Egypt, Austria, Iran, Greece, and beyond. No rigid itineraries, no tour buses, just boots on the ground and eyes wide open. What makes Sahana's perspective genuinely different is the lens she brings to it. When she walks through a city, she's not just sightseeing. She's reading the place, measuring proportions, noticing how a bus stop in Vienna is designed so that elderly passengers don't have to climb up a single step, understanding why the manhole covers in Japan are decorated the way they are. She's trained to see the built world as a story, and she can't help but read it wherever she goes. And it changes how she connects with wine, too. I wasn't expecting that, but it makes complete sense. When I asked her about a glass of Grüner Veltliner, Austria's beautiful, earthy, off-dry white, she didn't rattle off tasting notes. She described a journey. I absolutely love this. One sip, and she's in the Washu Valley. Another, she's in Vienna. Another, she's in Tyrol eating a plate of Spätzle. That's exactly what wine is supposed to do. It's a time machine made of grapes, and most people haven't been shown how to use it. Today, we're talking about what it means to truly be a guest in a place rather than just a tourist passing through. We're talking about architecture as a way of reading culture. We're talking about finding authentic local crafts and the maddening occasions when you absolutely cannot. We are talking about vegetarian travel in Japan and some seriously creative problem solving around food. And yes, we were talking about wine, specifically the kind that makes you close your eyes and go somewhere else. Sahana ended our conversation today with a single word when I asked her to describe her travel philosophy. The word she used was alive, and I think that says everything.
All right, fantastic. Sahana, thank you so much for joining Port Explorer. We're so happy that you're here today.
Hi, Nick. I'm glad to join you. So I'm excited to learn more about wine today from you so that I can taste better and on my next trips.
Absolutely. We'll talk about wine in a little bit because you've got some great taste as far as wine, some interesting things. But let's talk first about what I said at the top of the show, I talked about your travels and your travel blog and everything. When let's start where all great journeys begin is at the beginning. What sparked your love of travel?
If I really had to go back to the beginning, I think it was when I'm 4 years old. My father is the one who introduced me to traveling at the very, very early age. Probably my longest travel till date is for probably 25 plus day to northern India. I'm from India basically.
Mhm.
So it was through trains and sleeping in dormitories. So with the family. So I've been traveling since a very young age, especially in India. And probably in 2018 is when I went out of India for the first time after I got married for the honeymoon to Greece, Turkey, and a few days in Netherlands. So for me, traveling means I don't want to stay in hotel room. I'm like, I'm okay. If I'm tired, I'll sleep in the park. I'll sleep. I just doze off like this in a bus or a train. I want to be, I just want to come back to hotel room as late as possible. I get to sleep. So I love walking. So when I'm on the trip, with my husband or mom, with my husband especially, I walk about 20 kilometers a day. I love walking. And I won't have a fixed itinerary, but I know that, okay, let's say if I'm in Tokyo, I decided, okay, today I'm going to be in Shibuya from morning till evening. So whatever I can see in Shibuya for today, I'll be walking in, seeing. So my traveling is kind of budget, not like super budget, not a backpacker properly, because I and my husband will pick a private room with attached bathroom in a hostel, not a bunk bed. So somewhere we fall in the mid-range budget, I would say. And as an architect by profession, I always prefer to explore historical places and with wine. I love looking at the vineyards, and I'm not a familiar, so I can tell you that I like this wine. I didn't like this wine. So that's my knowledge. And why I feel that it's the best way for me to expand my horizon. So, especially traveling, I feel like there is nothing like right or wrong. Oh God, how could they do this? In certain country, that's the norm. That's how they do it. I have been every country I travel to, I feel I'm becoming like less judgmental, more open. I'm like, yeah, that works that way. This also works. Nothing is totally wrong. It's helping me change the way I look at the world. And I started traveling, blogging in the when COVID hit. I was not able to travel, so I really had to live with the memories of travel. So I started penning down. It was more like a personal journal in the beginning. Then whoever read it, I like it's useful. But I had to send them the link. Hey, read this because I was writing it like a personal journal. Then the deeper, so all the SEO and the professional blog writing came up. So now I run a travel blog called VacayWork, where I show people how to travel without quitting 9 to 5. Because I love myself. I'm an architect and I teach history of architecture for a living. I love mingling with students, so I don't want to quit my 9 to 5. And even
Yeah.
my husband is a techie, so he also loves his job. So we help people how to travel without quitting 9 to 5.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, and definitely. Let's start with the walking, and I think I believe that the best way to see a place is to get out and just explore, and on foot is a great way to do that. Now, your love of walking and your love of architecture is they go hand in hand. It sounds like to me because when you're walking down a street in Amsterdam or in Tokyo, you can up close see amazing artwork and architecture and shops that may not have gone into, if you were driving by or on a tour, things like that. So I think it's a wonderful way to see a place going around. You are an assistant professor of architecture, as you mentioned, and a wonderful storyteller. Definitely want to have everyone go over to your blog. The information will be down in the show notes, so make sure you check that out. How do those two things connect? Your love of architecture and your love of storytelling.
Okay, I think being an architect has made me more sensitive to local culture and I observe places better. For example, I have a friend in Netherlands to whom I was telling that my mom could easily travel in Austria because the buses lower down at the platform. So the platform and the buses come at the same level. So my mom just could walk in. She is 61 now. She finds it difficult to climb steps.
Think
I never thought of it that way. How did you observe? Like, I have taken plenty of buses and trains in Austria, so I observed. And somehow it may be because I'm an architect, I observe little things, sensitive things which people tend to miss. And maybe that's what my husband says. Okay, and my husband teases me, okay, I'm going to Athens. I am not going to get a guide. My wife is there anyway. She teaches history of architecture. So if I'm teaching or if I know, I'm not like, I know everything about every place, but I know certain things. So if I'm standing at Athens Parthenon, it's not just a piece of rubbles or ruins for me. I'll tell all the stories, how they built it, what's the optical correction, why though it is just some 5, 6 columns, it's so beautiful. Somehow it makes me connect with the places better and it makes me connect with people better.
Mm.
Maybe observing details like manhole covers in Japan. Everybody does observe because it's cuter, but I'm like, oh, okay, wow. How did they get manhole cover? Maybe many people, when they're walking, they might or might not observe, but because I'm an architect, the city, the urban life, the way city develops, or how narrow the lane is, wider the lane is, how Japan has the parking lots instead they're in their compound so compact where the cars are. So it makes me think beyond what I see because I'm an architect. I'm always measuring. Okay, this is 2 feet. This is 4 feet. This is 6 feet. In the ground, the dimensions are running. So architecture and traveling for me, it's architecture has made me more sensitive to places and culture. So I observe better because I'm an architect.
Yeah. It's it's a very interesting way to look at the world through its buildings, through its structures, through the artwork that might be on the building and things like that. And I absolutely agree that it's a great way to connect with the local culture. One, we talk a lot about that on this show. Travel is 100% best education out there. And I say that often. And getting out of your own backyard and exploring something different, it's give you a new perspective on the world and whether that's to the next town over or to the next country over and over, you're going to learn something. And I think that's a problem in our world nowadays is we're not expanding our horizons as much as we should be. And whether it's looking at a place through food or through dance or through wine or through architecture, great ways to see a place. You run this awesome blog called VacayWork, and on that blog, you focus on history, you focus on that culture, and you focus on the human connection. What's your process for finding the stories that you write about, or does it just come organically?
Okay, as a blogger, probably the kind of stories I love writing is facts about a place I have visited. It's not like okay, this is a democratic country, this is a communist country, not the facts like that. The facts that I see as a carrier. Probably, let's say, in Egypt, if I take Egypt, one of the shocking or fascinating fact is that people calls Indians when they get to know we are Indian, they call us with Bollywood hero and heroine names. I mean, oh wow, our movie is so our names. I love writing this kind of random facts I find on the streets, and somehow I connect to such stories more. And I know somebody who is helping people with 9 to 5. I know people want to know if I'm spending 3 days in, let's say, Amman of Jordan, what can I see? If I'm spending 5 days in Petra, what can I see? How do I plan? So I love writing about how you should plan. And I strongly feel when you pick the place, it has to be personal to you. Let's say you read about, if you want to ride Oriental Express train, I feel you should have read Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. Then you'll be able to connect the places better. Or just say somebody said, oh, it's one of the grandest trains in the world. You should take a ride. Okay, it doesn't connect to you. I write about what I got connected get about where I get connected more. So I enjoy writing that. And obviously, when I post stories on Instagram, people will ask, hey, is this, is that this? For example, many people, when I went to Austria, asked if Hallstatt, which people claim to be world's most beautiful village, was it worth it? I had a very different story about it. I was sure it was by the public. Me and my mom were get out of that place ASAP. The place is beautiful, but it was too crowded. So why people would want to know 10 things to see in Hallstatt, I would write, please don't go to Hallstatt in summer. Because the kind of experience I had. So I pick what I get connected. I pick stories where I feel I got connected.
Yeah. You just never know what you're going to find when you go to explore a place. And I think a place for each person is going to be different and the vibe different. It's going to have a different overall feeling about it to everyone. My wife and I, we travel a lot together, and we sometimes come away with different perspectives on a place. She loved this place, and I was like, it was okay. I probably wouldn't go back, kind of thing. So yeah, we're experiencing a place is very personal, and it's nice that you're able to put down in words your experiences, so that might inform other people, and that is what it's all about.
And
You, please go ahead.
when you and your wife, me and my husband will always have a contest of opinions. So, for example, when we stayed in Amman, Old Town, so it was Hercules Temple. It just has 2 columns. I'm a Hercules fan. I love his story. But somehow, because of the movie what I watched, Dwayne Johnson is my Hercules all the time. When I imagine Hercules, I think of Dwayne Johnson. So I'm praising the ruins. Okay, my husband, I agree, this place is nice. But we have been standing in these 2 columns for probably one. Do you think we should move out and get some falafels? I'm done with this place. I'm imagining Dwayne Johnson walking out of between those 2 columns as a Hercules with his lion-headed armory and things. He's like, I understand, but I'm hungry. I'm done with this place. Can we just go get some falafels? I'm like, okay, let's go. So
Okay.
we also will be at same place. We had two different opinions.
So Dwayne Johnson, if you're listening, just would love for you to be the star of the next Hercules movie. Excellent, excellent. Well, let's talk about actually being in a place. One of the things that you and I connected on, when you're traveling to a place, checking out the local handicrafts and items made by the locals in that town or in that country. When my wife and I travel, we always bring home some type of textile, with us from whichever country we happen to be going to. In Hungary, we were in France and brought some things home. We were in Guatemala and brought some things home. When it comes to traveling to a place, what are you seeking out? Are you and your husband seeking out a specific type of artisan work to bring home, or is it just whatever catches your eye?
Mm. I am very particular about made in that country product.
Yes.
Uh, I'm going to tell it outright. It made the cloth. If I want to buy, it's hard to get made in Austria, made in Switzerland, made in Japan. Japan at least okay, because much of the clothes come from India, Bangladesh, and the Southeast countries. So I'm like, what is the brand that originated this, or who are the local artisans? So it's like I make sure I buy the made in that country product, but it's not always a success. For example, when I went to Iran, I went to Iran in 2020, just before the COVID hit. The hijab thing is compulsory there, as you know, and now
Yep.
the things are different. But yeah, back then it was for sure compulsory. We were in a place called Abyane. So it's a famous village known for adobe houses and things. And the women there, they wear a white and pink scarf on their head. So that they're like Abhyani women wear that scarf. So I wanted that scarf because I'm like, no way they're gonna import it. It will be made in Iran is what I assumed. So
Yep.
I went to a local shop in Abhyani. It's a small shop run by a woman. I picked the scarf from that. I fell in love with it. I paid. I wore. And I come back to car, take my hijab, and I'm admiring, and I see that I'm made in Japan. I'm like, I went all the way to a remote village in Iran to find that scarf made in Japan. What is traditional? Everything. Totally true to Abhyani, but yeah. So I fight for the local products. So I do try it and look for artisans, community signatures. For example, in Greek, when I was buying wooden work, I forgot the community name. So I was particularly looking for that community's wooden products because I knew it is made in Greece. Otherwise, I wouldn't get any made in Turkey in Greece. Usually, I could get the wooden boxes. So somehow I feel, yeah, I have a piece of Greece in my house. I have a piece of Iran in my house when I buy it from there. And it's my little way of probably helping the local economy by buying products from the local people instead of going for the random souvenirs. And I do very happy to get the edible souvenirs like cheese, of course, and wine, of course. So I look for the local ones, preferably in where exactly in the place where they're made. But
Yes.
sometimes, like I told you, the Iran story, I get fooled at times. I'm like, huh, okay.
Yeah, it can be tricky, so when you're out there shopping, make sure you're looking at labels. Not every country has labeling laws like we do here in this. I would imagine that India has labeling laws. You can only label it from the country it comes from, things like that. So just be careful when you're out there shopping. And I agree, there's a lot of counterfeit and fake stuff out there on the market. So go to someone reputable, check your tags, make sure you're looking, before you spend money on that product that you hope is local, but it might not. Absolutely. You talked about wine, so let's talk about wine. When we visit places, eating the local cuisine, for me is very, very important. Street food is amazing, which is typically always very authentic to the local area. And wine, when I go to Australia, next March, I'm going to drink Australian wine. If
Uh,
I go to Austria, I'm going to drink Austrian wine. So on. So you mentioned that you love Chardonnay that's made in Australia, although Chardonnay is not an Australian grape. There really aren't any Australian grapes, but uh, beautiful Chardonnays coming out of Australia. And the premier grape of Austria is Grüner Veltliner, which produces a beautiful white wine. Sometimes there's sweetness, it can be very dry as well. Um, what makes those your favorites?
I'm not a person who wants to get high with wine. Some people expect wine. They sh- I just want to feel relaxed and I want to feel good. Probably a little sweetness in my mouth. Like when I have grown a Veltliner, somehow it makes me like, this is the best time of my life. I feel that. Somehow I feel it's earthy and there is little bit of sweetness, I guess, that makes me feel like I'm having something delicious. And it doesn't make me like totally tipsy, but it relaxes me down. Grüner Veltliner especially. Uh, so yeah, I like little bit on the sweeter side, but I don't want it to be like a desert wine where I feel
Right.
yeah, like I am I drinking a fruit juice or a wine? I should not like to that little bit of sourness, sweetness, up balanced, which make me feel relaxed. It's why
Yes.
I don't know waking.
Yeah, and again, something else we talk a lot about on this show, wine gives you a sense of place. There is always a great story behind a glass of wine, whether you know it or not. So I always try to know the wine that I'm drinking. I try to get to know the area that the wine is from, and so on. And that knowledge almost makes the experience of consuming the wine or whatever better, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Uh,
So,
when I
please.
drink Grüner Veltliner, I remember Wakawai. So I remember their local apricot dumplings, which I used to have it with the wine, and then somehow from Bukovali I get transported to Vienna, and from Vienna to Tyrol, where I had Cassesplatz with iron cheese. So it's like every time one sip of Gruner Veltliner, and I'm slowly moving from place to place in Wachau to Vienna to Tyrol. So and every time the vineyards of Wachau and the Danube and their houses and the milk abbey, somehow there's Gruner Veltliner builds a storyboard in front of me with every sip for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Austria is a beautiful country. Beautiful country, definitely. And kind of a side note, we've got some emerging wine regions happening in India right now as well. Over the last 5 to 10 years, India has started producing some really nice grapes. Have you visited any of the wine regions of India?
Actually, I live nearby. I live in a place called Bangalore. There's a Chikbalapur. There is a vineyard, but I have tasted their wine, but I'm not a big fan of their wine. Like, I can't tell you, like, how you say, this is why I didn't like the wine. I can't tell you, but I have not been to any vineyards in India yet. Mhm. I've always wanted to go to the Sula vineyards, the most famous one in central India, Nasik. I have not been to central India yet. But yeah, the vineyards in India are like gearing up slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. And wine regions like that are newer to the scene always take a while to gain not only quality but also international recognition. California, wasn't really recognized as a wine producing area until the 70s. We've been producing wine in California for hundreds of years, but it really wasn't until the 70s that California was named one of the best wine regions of the world. For a few hundred years, unlike France, and Germany, and Austria that have been producing wine for thousands of years. So for a place like Nashik to find its place on the map, quality will get better, the labels will get better, the wine will get better, and will definitely gain that recognition on the
Yeah.
world stage. Absolutely. Let's talk about your writing a little bit. Your writing, as you can imagine from this conversation, to our listeners, has such a strong sense of place. You're out there including the details about this building or this location or these people. How are you looking to connect with your readers? Is it just information, or are you trying to tell more of a story?
Both, because if I talk about the commercial point of view, like what readers want to know. So most of the readers skim through the points. I might tell some beautiful story, but it's not a novel they want to read on the blog. Okay,
Right.
I'm in Vienna. What do I do? I'm in, let's say, Amsterdam. So I'm working in Dewellen Street. I want to see the hookers. Where do I hookers? So basically, they want to get to the point, to the point. But I don't want to make it like, this is your question, this is my answer. No. For example, let's say people want to see the pyramids in Egypt. So everybody thinks of Giza pyramids. Definitely, I'm going to tell them how to see the Giza pyramids. Then I tell what I felt and why. Then I tell why seeing the pyramids in Saqqara is better than you see the ones in Giza.
Mm.
So I put the things, practical information, what readers want to say, and my personal opinion, and why they might want to consider seeing pyramids beyond the Giza or the ones in Saqqara or Dashur, things like that. So, to practical my POV, and then why should they do it? So, I try to connect with readers like that because especially in the age of AI, it's easy for it. Hey, tell me, write some five lines about Giza pyramids. It can give you. Well, what did I feel then? Did I feel good? Did I feel shocked and pushed by the crowd? Did I tiny in front of the pyramids? Did I get tired in the sun? Did I visit it in the afternoon when there was beaming sun? Or how did I avoid the crowd? How did I get the beautiful snaps of pyramids without humans with? And if I have to tell, let's say in Munich, I'm walking to Marienplatz at night to catch my flight back to India or something like that. I would tell when I'm walking on to Marienplatz, I met a lot of drunk guys who were singing terribly on the road. So I really enjoyed that time. I didn't mind wasting time and watching them had them singing horribly before I caught my train to the airport. So these then people will also get an idea. Okay, when I walk in Munich at night, it's absolutely safe. I also meet drunk people. They're not crazy.
You definitely meet some great characters out on the road.
Yes. So I try to connect with people with my little bit of stories wherever they exist. and with the practical informations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing I did forget to ask earlier when we were talking about local culture and food and wine and so on, you're a vegetarian. Uh, and Obitarian, I think it is. So a vegetarian that eats eggs.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
do you when you're traveling to all of these exotic places, are you finding it hard to find that you can eat, or is it relatively easy?
Two of the countries which I loved most, like I want to visit again, is Japan and Iran. And I had a first time as a vegetarian and vegetarian there. In Iran, people were like, "What are you gonna eat beyond eggplants? Because all we can offer you as for vegetarians is, apart from egg dishes, is eggplants." And in Japan, it was super super hard. And I could go to the temples where they Shinto temples where they serve vegetarian meal, but it was expensive. Mm. I had an average good time in Greece, but I got fed up of feta cheese with everything.
Mm.
And Turkey is the second best most country for vegetarians, in my opinion, other than India, because India is probably the best variety of vegetarian. I'm not saying Indian food is the best, but the variety of vegetarian options are plenty. Turkey has amazing veg food, and Netherlands. And I don't have an opinion because, yeah, I did try a lot of their breads and stuff, but I didn't find much in there. And in Belgium, I filled my stomach with chocolates. Um,
That's a good way to go. A bunch of chocolate in Belgium, and then you walk it off.
yeah, and this a lot of waffles. I think in my blog, as I have mentioned that when I was walking in Brazil, at one point of time, I had so much waffles that I felt like a well-fed python who can't move, who just wanted to lay on the grass. We did that. So
Uh,
certain countries is good. I get local food variety, and I make sure that unless and until like I'm starving, I don't have anything to eat. I don't go to Italian or Indian restaurant to get the vegetarian food. It's like my option. Like okay, this
okay.
and my my sugar level is blood sugar level is going down. I can feel that I'm gonna faint. Okay, I can see an Italian restaurant. I can get the margarita or any veg pizza. Then I go eat the pizza. Or same thing with the Indian restaurant. So it varies. Austria had good, very good vegetarian options for me.
Yeah.
Germany didn't give me variety. Jordan had expensive vegetarian food, and yeah, by trying all this food, I'm going to go bankrupt. Egypt had decent food. So it was Japan and Iran, the countries I loved most, I enjoyed most, had the least variety for vegetarians. Or the
Mhm. Yeah, difficult, absolutely. And a great lesson for anyone who has food restrictions or has a particular diet and so on. Make sure that you are doing some research ahead of time, maybe even down to looking up restaurants that you can go to that have, if you're lactose intolerant, things without dairy, or if you are vegetarian or vegan, even, getting out there and making sure you're doing your research, because it's going to be a lot easier to do it ahead of time, in my opinion, than doing it while you're there, because there's so much going on. You're staying and you're exploring, and do you want to take 10 minutes to find a vegetarian restaurant, that's nearby? So maybe do it ahead of time is nice. Absolutely.
well, I feel planning a trip is very underrated. People, I have had people, I had a colleague of mine who said, you plan your trips by looking at videos, reading blogs, but by then you would have seen so much virtually already. Don't you feel like, oh, I have already seen it, why go there? I'm like, no, no, that's what makes it exciting for me. Like reading
Yeah.
and then experiencing. So planning a trip is really underrated, and many people think I'll be spontaneous. I go there. Yeah, you can do that if you're spending probably 20 days in Lisbon or Lisboa. Do that. Be spontaneous. But if, let's say you're spending just 4 5 days in Lisbon and you want to be spontaneous there, no, you're going to waste a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, folks, we are talking with Sahana Kulur, and she's telling us about her travels around the world and some of her favorite things. We really, really appreciate you being on the show. Before we go, I definitely want to encourage everyone once again to go down to the show notes and click on her links. Make sure you go check out the blog, check out Instagram and Facebook. You'll find beautiful pictures and stories in those places of Sahana's travels around the world. But before we go, we've got a little lightning round, some quick questions before we head out. Sound good?
Yeah. Yeah. I
All
hope I
right.
answered. But
So when I travel around the world, I have, as a wine lover and wine expert, I've got a very sensitive nose. So I smell things when I'm going around. Do you have a favorite travel scent? Something that when you've smelled it, you've been like, "Oh my God, that's amazing."
yeah, it's the smell of Tokyo Metro.
The smell of Tokyo Metro. I wasn't expecting that, but that's fantastic. As an architect, what is an architect style that you've seen out in your travels that makes you feel at home?
Anything made with mud,
With mud?
vernacular. Yeah, any houses,
Okay.
buildings made with mud.
So, Adobe home. Okay,
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Your dream wine destination.
Hmm. I would say Australia because I like Jacob's Creek. And like I said, I don't know if it's truly Australian by heart or no. I'm a Jacob's Creek fan. And of course, I want to try United States wines, especially the California ones. Like you said, my friend, a lot of my friends who live in America talks about Californian wine. So I really want to, and almonds from California, I believe. So
Oh, yes.
yeah, yeah. So
We produce a lot of nuts in California, almonds, pistachios, walnuts. A lot of those come from California. We've got a hugely diverse agriculture here in California. Wine, produce of all kinds, nuts and berries. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. We love it here. And then one last question. If you were to have one word that describes your travel philosophy, what would that be?
one word is it?
Yeah.
Alive. I feel alive when I travel.
Alive. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Sana, thank you so very much for being on Port Explorer. I really, really appreciate it. Great to meet you. And thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for having me on the show, Nick. I have watched many of your episodes to learn more about one because I know, I like I said, I know why I like this one, but I don't know why I like it. Like how you connect with the places and when it's really delightful, and it was very lovely talking to you.
Absolutely. It makes you feel alive. Great to
Yeah.
meet you.
Sahana said something near the end of our conversation that I keep coming back to. She said that planning a trip is underrated, that people think planning takes the spontaneity out of travel. But that for her, reading about a place, learning its history, understanding its stories, is what makes the spontaneous moments land. It's the preparation that lets you be present. You're not standing in front of the Parthenon Googling what it is. You already know what the story is. So when you're there, you can just feel it. Now, of course, I'm a big proponent, and I've said before about, over planning things, but I can understand Sahana's perspective when she's talking about this. So kudos to her. I think a lot about that too in relation to wine. Knowing a little about what's in your glass, where the grapes grew, what the soil's like, what the winemaker was trying to do, that knowledge doesn't take the magic away, it multiplies it. The wine doesn't just taste like something, it takes you somewhere. And that is one of my favorite parts. That's the whole point of the show, everybody. Whether it's a village in Jordan, a vineyard in Austria, a bowl of ramen, on a side street in Japan, context is what turns a transaction into an experience. A customer walks into a shop, a guest walks into someone's home. The difference almost always is preparation and curiosity. Sahana travels the world without quitting her job, without a bottomless budget, of course, and without a single moment of pretension. She just shows up, pays attention, and writes it all down so the rest of us can learn from it. Go find VacayWork. All of Sahana's links are down in the show notes. So if you're looking to plan a trip to any of the destinations she's covered, do yourself a favor and read her take on it before you go. Her posts read like letters from a friend who happens to have a PhD in noticing things. Now, if this episode resonated with you, here's what I'd love for you to do. Leave us a review wherever you're listening. 5 stars if you feel like it, like we earned it. It only takes about 45 seconds, and it genuinely makes a difference in getting the show in front of the people who need it. Subscribe if you haven't already, because next week we're going somewhere new, and you don't want to miss the departure 100%. And share this episode with someone who loves to travel, loves to explore, or is just starting to get curious about wine. Sahana's story is a great entry point because she was exactly where that person is now long ago. And look where she ended up. The show notes have everything, Sahana's blog or Instagram or links. It's all down there as well as mine. So thanks, everybody. And until next time, keep wondering and wandering. Take care.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Pour and Explore. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear your stories or questions. Drop me a message at cheers@thewineguy.vin. That's cheers@thewineguy.vin. Or let's connect on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Grab those links at thewineguy.vin. Until next time, let's keep wondering and wandering. Cheers, everybody.